The Aborigines people of Australia. This video will identify many values and traditions of the Indigenous people of Australia, otherwise known as the Aboriginal people, and explore reasons why it hasn't really been accepted into modern-day Australia. The Aboriginal people of Australia stretch back to traces of almost 50,000 years. There isn't too much of trace on the land that they left for us, but there's a lot. But their culture still hangs around today with the families across Australia. Society can learn from the older traditions of the Aborigines people to learn how to embrace cultures such as that. The Aborigines culture eventually began to fall when the modern day culture that the Europeans brought over to Australia kind of began to take over and bigger cities were starting to be built. The government never really used to take notice of the old Aboriginal culture, which they still fight to this day. Their culture still lasts, but it's not as much there as it used to be. The Stolen Generation. When the Australian government realized how big the country of Australia was starting to grow and the cities started developing, the government decided to pass laws to take away Aborigines children and put them in foster homes. They did this to teach them how the modern day white people live their lives, and they tried their best to erase all of the Aborigines' old traditions. This was very bad. They took away many things, such as beautiful arts, dances, rituals, and holidays that the old Aborigines used to celebrate. This was a whole generation wiped out by the Australian government. This was through the mid-1800s through the 1970s. In the 1860s, Victoria State passed the law to remove Aboriginal kids from their families. They were taken by police, they were taken from their homes, or stolen on their way to school. They were known as the stolen children. Over 17,000 people in Australia that were from the stolen generation. Most of these have no contact with their original families. Arts. The Aborigines people were very involved in arts. Dated arts such as stone arts, the Malawawa figures, wood carvings, baskets and weaving, and dot arts. Some of the oldest stone arts that have been found from the Aborigines people are about 40,000 years old. Aboriginal rock art was some of the oldest dated rock art in the entire world. Most paintings were done with charcoal and mulberries, which created a red-looking image. That's why most of the cave paintings turn out red. The Malawawa figures. They were large painted images of people mostly interacting with animals, drawn between 6,000 and 9,400 years ago. Some of these illustrated paintings contained extinct animals that are no longer around. Wood carvings. The Aborigines often made wood carvings in the shape of animals to represent how they spiritually connected with the animals in the land around them. They also made wood carvings to represent dreams that they had had, because they believed that represented also the land, how it connected them around them. These wood carvings were to be passed on down many generations to show how their elders thought. Later generations traded these to Europeans for valuable goods that could not be obtained in Africa. Baskets and weaving. But created by twisting bark, palm leaves, and feathers, the Aborigines created many colorful baskets. They used mineral plant dyes to give them lots of beautiful colors and vibrant colors to make them stand out. They used these baskets to carry things in their rituals and dances, to carry spiritual foods, and overall just what a basket is used for. These baskets were as well traded to the Europeans for valuable goods that could not be obtained in Australia. Dot art. Dot art is some of the Aborigines' most famous art that is known around the world. It is used with many little paint dots to create a bigger image. It was first used on people for body painting and rituals for ceremonies, but then it was transitioned over to paintings and murals and rocks and anything else that could be painted. Nations. Before Australia was colonized, it was home to 500 nations and tribes. There is no single Aboriginal culture. There is many, and they are all different, but they are all the same at the same time. They have common themes, the arts they practice, sharing their dreams to the generations below, and connections to the lands. Languages. There was an estimated over 250 different languages spoken before the British arrived in Australia. In the 1970s, Australian government banned speaking of the old language and forced the Aborigines to learn English. This was part of the Stolen Children. Today, only about 120 of the 250 languages are still spoken today, and they are all in danger of going away because of dying generations. Spirituality. The Aboriginal people worshiped the land that they come from. They believed they were connected to the land. They performed many rituals. They used their arts and their rituals to show respect to the land and the animals. When someone of importance passes away in the tribe has rituals to celebrate that person. Long 3-day rituals that lasted to celebrate the person's life. They believed that there was no heaven or hell. It was just the land that they were connected to. They believed that their dreams write their story of what's bound to happen and showed how they were connected to their land that they come from. Fighting for recognition. Even in 2023, they have received an overwhelming amount of reject from the Australian government. The Aborigines tried to propose an advisory group to sit in Parliament. 40% voted yes, 60% voted no. The recognition by the government can be a big step forward for the Aborigines people. This would be because the government could publicly preserve their culture and practice their rituals. The government could also educate the public about their culture and spread their culture throughout the country of Australia. In conclusion, the Aboriginal people of Australia are very unique people. They have many different habits, arts, and rituals that shape them. They still do not get the recognition they deserve from the government. They will continue to fight for their recognition until they receive what they know to be right. There are many different types of Aboriginal people, but they are all connected in one way, through the land, the arts, and the rituals that they perform. They will one day get the recognition from the government that they deserve and hopefully to educate the rest of the public about their culture. Thank you.